Yo, what is up, everybody? It is Prestige Man Luigi here with another Borderlands Z pre-sequel video. Now, this video is not going to be a legendary guide. It is not going to be any form of guide. It is going to be a video where I want to talk about some of the stuff that I want to talk about. Obviously, from the title of the video, you have an idea of where I'm going with this. So, and also a quick note about the gameplay. It's just going to be gameplay. It's just some gameplay of me killing bosses since I thought it was appropriate. And there's no Sentinel fights. My last video was a Sentinel fight, and I think you guys don't want to keep seeing that on repeat. So let's get into the meat of the video. Now this video is going to talk about why Borderlands the pre-sequel isn't good. Now, as a statement, I do find Borderlands the pre-sequel overall, I'd say it's a good game. I enjoy it. I enjoyed Borderlands 2. I enjoyed this game. But there are flaws in it that I want to mention and bring out. These flaws are highlighted significantly by the fact that Borderlands 2 came out before, and it is very similar to Borderlands 2, so you can compare how each game matches up to each other. So, first things first, I want to talk about first things first is going to be the end game. The main thing I see as a problem with Borderlands the pre-sequel is its end game for a variety of reasons. Now, the story, most people I think like the story. It's enjoyable overall. Some people might not like it, but I don't think that suffers as much. The end game is where I think this game doesn't hold up to its predecessor or where it should just as a standalone game, since it gets boring. Now, the end game of Borderlands the pre-sequel basically consists of farming a very limited pool of bosses and using the grinder to get legendaries. Now, the goal of the Borderlands games seems to be shoot stuff, get better gear. And so the end game would be get the best gear, which are the legendaries in most regards. So when getting the legendaries and when trying to get the best gear isn't where it should be, that is a significant part of the flaw of the game. Now, there are a major point of why the end game isn't good. I'd say is it's boring and there's a lot you can't do. There are a ton of bosses in this game, or characters, if you will, that are one-time accessible in a quest. That's it. You see them in the quest. If you kill them, they don't drop their legendary. Either dashboard and Alt F or Alt F4, or edit save files to play the quest again, since you're not getting the legendary from that person any other way. That person will never be there again. And I do not think this is a good idea. I'm going to give you an example just of a good amount of the unfarmables. We have Flame Knuckle, we have the even more disgusting Torque, Rooster Brewster, the gigantic Ice Sugar Ruff, Meathead, Drongo Bones, Rabbit Adams, Boomer, Bruce, Power Suit Noob, Zarpedon, both forms, Meg, and Tiny Destroyer. Now, all of these drop legendaries. However, every single one of these legendaries can be gotten a different way, whether it be I'd say like one or two of those their legendaries drop from other people, but otherwise you're gonna have to use the grinder. And the grinder has been a process where you go find Iwajira, who's a big Kragan, and who drops the thingy legendary rocket launcher very often, and it's farm him for two thingies, get a purple of what type of gun you want, put it in, get your legendary. If you don't get it, dashboard and re-put it in the grinder and you'll have your legendary. Now this really takes away from one of the most core parts of Borderlands, which is finding the best way, the quickest way to kill a boss and get his legendary. And that is a huge part of the game. It is a really fun part of the game. Well, not part of this game, but it is a very important part, at least in my opinion, of what Borderlands is, and this game takes it out. It makes you rely on the grinder and Iwajira to get your legendaries. Now, there are a good amount of legendaries you can get without using the grinder at all. You can farm the Bosun for the Cryophobia, Felicity for the Quasar, the final boss, the Sentinel. You can farm him for a few legendaries: the Long Nail, the ZX1, the Black Hole, and so there are some other people like actually I don't think the first boss Deadlift has a legendary tied to him, not to my knowledge at least. But there are so many legendaries that you cannot get without grinding. It takes away from a lot of the game. So that and the fact that there's a very small pool of bosses to farm from, as I mentioned, those make the end game kind of tedious. So it's either farm your Jira or farm and use a grinder or farm the vending machines, and both of those do not encapsulate what in my opinion means to play Borderlands, play the end game of Borderlands. Also, another point that I do not like in this game is there are so many carried over legendaries. I'm going to read to you a bunch of the carried over legendaries, so apologize for giant lists, but I need to make this point. All right, so we got the Major Tom, Carryover, Shred of Fire, Hammer Buster 2, Kerboom, Torrent, Fatal, Hellfire, Mongol, I think is, Cryophobia, the Bada Boom, Nukem. All the lasers and the Oz kits are new, which is very good. I do appreciate all those new legendaries that are really cool. The 88 Fragnum, Logan's Gun, Shooterang, Maggie, Blowfly, Shoddy, Sledge's Shoddy, the Striker, the Flacker. The Viral Marketer is basically the conference call, but in corrosive form. The Pitchfork, the Skull Masher, the Long Nail. No, sorry. I have a list of all the legendaries, so no, the Long Nail is not to my knowledge. And I might have gotten actually one or two of those wrong, but basically all of those are carryover legendaries, which is just it's laziness. That's what it looks like, laziness to me, that the developers would not put in new legendaries. They would just carry over so many legendaries, and a good amount of those legendaries are just renamed and reskinned, and a lot of them not reskinned that much. Like, they look really close to the same. So I guess that's 3 points. The limit of bosses, I guess in correlation, and the limit of bosses with the grinding and Iwajira farming, because bosses are behind quest walls, prevents just so much of that is the core of the end game. That's gone, and just the amazing amount of carried over legendaries from Borderlands 2 is just those 2-ish 3 things really take away a lot from this game. And I think to fix this, I would say, quick fix: make any person who drops a legendary, make them farmable, and add a lot of new legendaries. That is a lot of work, but that is what needs to be done to make this a really good game, standing alone from Borderlands 2. We can't piggyback off of Borderlands 2 and be called a great game in its own right. So that's basically it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this small or long rant, and I'll see you all later. Peace out.